From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
And now at 5:30, we're Open Indy, the partnership that centers around laughter that is helping to keep two businesses going through the pandemic. And meeting the artist behind some eye-catching artwork, where you can catch up this week with the artist behind the Black Lives Matter mural on Indiana Avenue. Chris?
Topping our lineup, first it was GameStop. Now silver prices are hitting an 8-year high. What you need to know about all of this erratic trading and what the experts say you should really be doing with your money. Wildfire smoke could become a much bigger health problem for all of us each year. What researchers studying this say needs to be done. We are supposed to be seeing more price transparency from hospitals. Why that's still not happening at a lot of places 1 month later.
First at 5:30, Hoosiers are pulling together now more than ever, especially when it comes to helping businesses stay open. Our Troy Washington shows us how one partnership is using a dose of laughter to make the situation better and keep people working.
All the world's a stage starts one of William Shakespeare's monologues. Well, two worlds have come together to thrive through the pandemic.
And what's your title?
The old guy.
Oh, he's sick. We should laugh.
Even when they aren't trying to be funny, the jokes have a way of sneaking in with these comedians. At Gutty's Comedy Club, it's about good, clean fun and laughter.
If you're hanging out with your friends, right, and you're not cracking jokes and doing things, it's not as fun. You know what I mean? So comedy is as minor and micro that is, it's still important. It's still important through all of this because it's for your mental health. It's important for your physical health too as well. It's scientifically proven that when you laugh, it gives you, it's almost like medicine.
And I think we can all agree right now, laughter does soothe the soul, especially with all the pandemic has thrown at Hoosiers. Right now, it's a little bit more difficult to find those funny things. But Gutty's Comedy Club was determined to keep the good times rolling. And that's why they teamed up with the Sterling Event Center in Greenwood.
So we're here to accommodate them, whatever they want.
As we all look for a reason to celebrate, the Sterling Event Center is still doing birthdays, weddings, and helping people create those memories even during the pandemic. In fact, they are really busy right now planning weddings.
We have a bridal suite, and we have a groom's room, and I have several different arches that the girls can pick, and I decorate them to their colors, and they get married up here on stage.
When weddings aren't going on here on the stage, comedy shows are.
We were like, look, we have the entertainment. We know how to bring a great show. We bring clean comedy to the show. So if anything, it would be ideal to be able to team up with you guys.
The point of bringing this mic on this stage is to show people just how strong we are when we work together. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Thank you, Troy. And the event center is following all current restrictions and COVID-19 guidelines when it comes to holding gatherings. The ITH Event Center being a larger location than Gutty's Comedy Club's original location, they are able to accommodate more guests at one time. Kevin.
Well, snow, just look outside your window, finally arriving kind of on a consistent pace here over the last week or so. We're up to 10.7 now officially for the season in Indianapolis. We typically have 17 inches by this point. As we look ahead, next opportunity for moisture will come in the form of rain across central Indiana. There are a few snow showers and flurries northeastern portion of the state. Winchester, Portland, on up to Fort Wayne. Those will pull away to the east. As I mentioned, Thursday, a mix quickly changing to all rain, it looks like, through the day. Temperatures consistent in the lower 30s, although it feels more like 19 or 20 because of the strong winds. Tomorrow, maybe a peak or two at sunshine, definitely a cold north wind, gusting 15 to 25. And that will keep these temperatures on the cold side as we go through the afternoon. We'll zero in on the next storm system for Thursday and beyond coming up. Chris?
Many airlines have policies that require you to wear a mask, but now the government is making it mandatory starting tomorrow. Not just on airplanes, but the CDC also putting in a mask-wearing rule for public transportation like buses and subways as well. Getting COVID-19 vaccines into people's arms proving a bit difficult and even unequal in some cases. An analysis by Kaiser Health News found that Black Americans are being vaccinated at a lower rate than white Americans based on their share of the population. Experts believe that could be driven by distrust, inadequate access in Black neighborhoods, and a digital divide. Now, a similar problem is emerging among lower income older adults and those who don't have family and friends to help them navigate the online registration systems or drive them to vaccine appointments. But there could be a simpler way.
We can simplify all of this by creating better cards that we have designed here at MIT that would be very simple to reproduce, very simple to produce, but very impossible to reproduce or forge.
Scientists at MIT say that technology is actually getting in the way of vaccine distribution, so they made a more sophisticated but easy to use vaccination card system with some other partners. They say think of it like a paper ticket with a bunch of codes. One coupon code that says when you're eligible for a vaccine, when and where to go. Also tells you which vaccine you got and when to go back for your second dose. Card's also proof of vaccination, and it can be used to report any side effects. And another piece of information with this is that it does not feature your name or your birthday. Now, that could help with the distrust factor regarding data collection, and it also takes a huge burden off vaccine distributors trying to collect information or prove eligibility. CDC uses the codes to monitor vaccine rates, how effective they are, and reactions without needing people's identities.
Think of that as your new Social Security number just for the sake of vaccination. And that number allows us to track an individual through the whole system without ever asking them for the name or date of birth.
Now, there would be an app version for people who prefer that. MIT is still talking to several different leaders about launching early pilots on this new vaccine card system to work out any sort of glitches there might be. Then they plan to offer the software for free. All right, next in our lineup, silver prices now hitting an 8-year high. What you need to know about all of this erratic trading that is happening with the stock market. And we talked to experts about what they say you should really be doing with your money.
No payments, no interest for 12 months.
Well, so much noise and attention on stocks and day trading with the recent rise of GameStop and AMC theaters. But also now silver is going up. Now, it's been led by some smaller day traders looking to make money essentially off of big investors that bet against failing stocks. Bottom line, financial experts say this isn't really investing. They see it more as gambling.
This game of trying to play stock jockey of, day trading and this, that, that's a fad. It sounds like fun, but the reality of it is very few people consistently make money at it, and it's very easy to lose money doing it.
That's Bankrate's chief financial analyst, and he says the first bets and investments were made in companies that were already having issues, and sooner or later, their prices will drop, reflecting their true value. Now, with silver and other precious metals, he says they've had some streaky performances for decades.
They'll have periods of time where they do really, really well and hit the ball out of the park, and then they'll have years where they do nothing. And the mining stocks, precious metal mining stocks, are even more of a feast or famine.
Bottom line, winning in stocks is mostly a marathon. It's not a sprint, and it is all about, they say, variety.
Rather than trying to pinpoint individual stocks, the average investor is better served buying a broad-based mutual fund or exchange-traded fund that invests in the entire market, and then just contributing consistently and then just letting that ride. That's really the ticket over time. The market does reward investors who are disciplined and patient.
Now, this recent run on certain stocks has also gotten the attention of regulators and lawmakers who may end up putting some new rules in place. All right, still ahead in our lineup, wildfire smoke could become a much bigger health problem for all of us each year. What researchers studying this say needs to be done.
Any plumbing repair.
Well, we are days away from the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55 in Tampa. This is actually the first time that a city will host the big game with their home team on the field. But do hosting these big sporting events actually pay off for the host city? Maya Rodriguez takes a look.
In just days, the eyes of the football world will focus on Tampa, Florida.
Hey, let's go!
Site of Super Bowl 55. Preparations here, years in the making, along with a $160 million renovation to Raymond James Stadium, including $10 million of federal money for COVID-19 related upgrades. But do major investments by host cities pay off?
Generally, the return on an investment that's required by a destination is significant.
Jeremy Jordan is Associate Dean of the School of Sport, Tourism, and Hospitality Management at Temple University. He says studies on the economic impact of games can be subjective and aren't always reliable.
You could have 2 or 3 groups studying the same event and come up with very different results.
With that said, the return on investment depends on the sporting event. For example, the Olympics require a lot more infrastructure, billions of dollars worth, for building facilities that may not get used again after the games are done. The Super Bowl, though, is different. Take Tampa Stadium.
So obviously the Buccaneers play there. University of South Florida uses it for their football games. If you look at it from a sustainability perspective, it probably is worth the investment.
Though this year's Super Bowl won't have quite the impact it might have had because of the pandemic. And Jeremy Jordan says future hosts of national sporting events should take note.
It will be interesting how long it takes for people to feel comfortable to go sit in a stadium of 70,000 people and attend a sporting event. It doesn't mean they're not going to consume it, but the patterns of consumption may be different.
But there is one major positive to cities that host these events.
To say that you hosted the Super Bowl, or obviously that you hosted something like the Olympics, it creates the perception that this is a first-class destination.
A kind of branding, it turns out, that money can buy. I'm Maya Rodriguez.
And families have an opportunity this week to speak with the artists who worked on the Black Lives Matter mural in downtown Indianapolis. On Thursday, the Children's Museum of Indianapolis is hosting the artists for its first Thursday event as part of Black History Month. They will be discussing their part in the mural on Indiana Avenue, as well as showcasing pieces of their own work. The museum is still at reduced capacity and the event is expected to sell out, so make sure to secure your tickets early. Kevin.
Well, you want to soar like an eagle? Let's take flight. Check this out over the Wabash River at West Lafayette, right near the Purdue campus. And that bald eagle took off from the tree. This is just a snapshot of the video. So thanks to Daniel Fazenmeyer for sharing that brush with nature. Is there anything better looking than seeing a bald eagle at work over the Wabash River? Okay, temperatures cold in the northeast and the snow is coming down. 13.3 inches of snow so far in Central Park in New York City. You see how everything flows from the water, from the Atlantic back on shore, just throwing the moisture in there, creating heavy snow. Another 2 to 4 inches expected in Central Park, but the winds will gust to 40 miles per hour. There is the core of this little bit of cold air, if you want to call it that, right now. If you look back to the west, you begin to see some green colors. That's where temperatures are moderating. We'll feel that briefly Thursday, and then the bottom drops out. Tomorrow, the consistent, strong, cold north wind, temperatures no warmer than the lower 30s. Wednesday, temperatures a little bit warmer. I think tomorrow, Wednesday and then Thursday we have our warming trend, and then it turns the other way. Mixture of clouds and sunshine on Wednesday, temperature of about 35. Could be just slightly warmer to the southwest. Start melting some of the snow, and I think it picks up pace as far as melting when the rain arrives, and that happens on Thursday. For central southern portions of the state, the rain arrives. For the very northern portion of the state, I think that will be in the form of snow. But after that, it's all about colder temperatures. I'll show you the weekend forecast coming up.
It's like choosing the battlefield that we fight fire on, right? If we let nature choose, we're going to lose.
Record-setting wildfires are becoming a regular occurrence in the West, but the trend also threatens people across the country as hazardous smoke pollutes the air. Researchers tell Amanda Brandeis that years of air pollution progress could be erased.
You guys, let's go. Come on, man. Through shaky cell phone video, come on, are moments of chaos. Right there. Caught in the grips of wildfire. Let's go.
60 miles south, Charles Gregg watched as a different fire inched closer to his family.
We got the call that said, you need to be on evacuation standby.
A call he never expected living in his Northern California suburb.
The light went off. What are we going to do?
Their home was spared, but the city remained apocalyptic as smoke lingered for weeks under the red sun.
After a couple of weeks, I had an episode where I woke up one night and couldn't breathe.
Diagnosed with COPD 3 years ago, his chronic lung condition had been mild up until then.
My oxygen was down in the low 80% range, and I was literally gasping for air.
Wildfires release toxic particles small enough to penetrate a person's lungs and enter the bloodstream, increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke.
This is deadly air pollution.
Michael Wara says a nationwide effort to fight this pollution began with the Clean Air Act of 1990, targeting pollution sources from factories to cars.
But what's happening in the western United States over the last decade is a reversal of that progress. The air is actually getting dirtier. Wildfire is treated as kind of an act of God that no one is responsible for.
In a recent paper, Stanford researchers say it's a losing strategy with devastating consequences.
A quarter, and in some places as much as half, of the particle pollution for the entire year, including when there are no fires, is today associated with wildfire smoke.
In reversing progress on air pollution puts the health of millions at risk.
Likely making large numbers of senior citizens sick. It's also likely making large numbers of kids sick.
In the 2018 California wildfires, the loss of homes and buildings cost nearly $28 billion. Health effects from air pollution was even higher, surpassing $32 billion.
Fires burn in California, Nevada, Arizona, and prevailing winds carry that smoke as far as the eastern seaboard.
They believe fuel management is critical, burning excess vegetation year-round to prevent catastrophic wildfires. Wara also recommends investments in both PPE and air filters for schools and senior living homes.
I've actually got air purifiers in 4 rooms in my house now, running 24/7.
Gregg says the toll of fires on his health can never be fully reversed.
We need to invest in that because the unfortunate reality is this problem is not going to go away anytime soon.
I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
All right, Amanda, thank you. Now, we know that you have tax questions, especially this year during the pandemic. So all of this week, our partners at Newsy are answering them as you get ready to file.
I'm not an expert, but we spoke to a lot of them and asked, will the stimulus checks be taxed?
The stimulus payment itself is not taxable.
The checks are considered tax credits, not income, which is why they aren't taxable. But there's a reason you should report it when you file this year.
If something got missed during the year, like the economic impact payments, you can make up for that on your tax return.
If you're one of many Americans who never received stimulus money, this is your time to fix that through the Recovery Rebate Credit as long as you're eligible. You'll have to file Form 1040 or Form 1040-SR to claim it.
All right, finally in our lineup today, we were supposed to be seeing more price transparency from hospitals. Why that's still not happening at a lot of places a month later.
Cousin and no.
It has been 1 month since a new rule went into effect requiring hospitals to disclose the prices they privately negotiate with insurers and provide cost estimator tools for patients. Now, this is all supposed to give you more transparency about what you're paying and to help you shop around. But now we're learning that not many hospitals are posting the prices yet. G-Buy, an expert on healthcare pricing, says right now only about 20% of hospitals across the country are complying with this new rule. Some of what hospitals are posting online is a machine-readable file that Buy says will be hard for patients to get the price information they need from.
That information will feed into third-party information platforming companies. So these companies will gather that and then put into a more friendly, consumer-friendly format. So us, we patients can just go to the third-party platform website to find out what is the cheapest option for us.
She says several third-party platforms are trying to get into the market now, so we'll have to wait and see which is the best option. The pandemic is part of the delay in some hospitals posting prices. The executive vice president for the American Hospital Association sent us a statement saying some of the same finance, billing, and IT staff that manage the public health emergency and administration of vaccines are now being diverted to work on the lengthy machine-readable files required by HHS. But the pressures of fighting the virus did not go away because of a January 1st deadline. Now, Bai says there is hope that eventually the new rule will reduce prices.
So let's say we are in a very competitive market, meaning that there are several hospitals and they are competing for our services. In that situation, the price transparency rule might be very helpful. Now, hospitals have to disclose they want to compete against each other to provide the best service and like the lowest price, so that will benefit the consumers.
The American Hospital Association is urging the Biden administration to change part of the new rule. It believes requiring disclosure of privately negotiated rates will accelerate anti-competitive behavior among commercial health insurers. Some restaurants across the country are defying health department orders and serving customers inside. Tomorrow, the legal help some owners are getting in their battle to stay open.
As I've established, the next 3 days, temperatures are warming up. But as we move toward the weekend, there'll be an Arctic cold front that will squeeze out any moisture around, creating some snow showers and dropping the temperature 11 for the high on Sunday.